are the New York Knicks. I'm back, rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast, episode 444, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am good. I am. It's been a weird week of Knicks basketball, don't you think?
Very strange. We got a lot to talk about.
I was going to, the week started off. They played the Pistons and the Sixers, and I basically was going to, based on those two games, I was going to start the show off just doing just a series of terrible jokes about how bad the Knicks are shooting. Like, in preparation for the Knicks going after Markelle Fultz, the entire team forgot how to shoot. The Knicks are playing an anti-game of horse where they're like, can you match that miss? Can you match that miss? Or just about basically there being a force field around the basket because the Knicks were just god-awful shooting. I think after the Philly game, I was losing my faith. I was like, why are we even playing games? But the Bucks game restored my faith in humanity. Everything's great now, and I love this team again.
It's just weird how they could look so bad against a team like the Sixers are a good team, but
Sixers are a very good team.
But
by the way, watching that game, I'm like, can we have JJ Redick? I mean, we need someone that can just run around the court and just hit shots everywhere, because that would be nice.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, they looked so bad against Philly, and then so good against the Bucks. I guess that's the way it is with a young team, but it's a little frustrating just not knowing which team is going to show up on a night to night.
I was talking to someone else, and I was talking about your theory about basically a lot of teams build their teams by having the star players and then building out from there, like building your bench after that. Mm-hmm. The Knicks are going in reverse and building their bench first, and the person was like, "Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what they're doing."
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, we have a bunch of really solid role players, and we could use some stars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with a few pieces on this team.
How could you not be happy with a few pieces of this team?
The weird thing is a few of these pieces are pieces I thought would have been cut by now.
Do you want to just say Emmanuel Mudiay, or do you want to dance around?
Well, I was going to say also Vonleh.
Yeah, well, you didn't expect Vonleh to be cut by now. Well, I guess earlier when he was signed, we weren't sure he was even be on the roster.
Yeah,
so
when he first got signed, we figured that was just going to be for training camp.
It's been a weird so he's emerged. He is arguably in some ways one of maybe their second best player these days.
On some nights.
On some days. On some days he is, some days he's not.
I mean, everyone had crazy stats against the Bucks, but he had 15 points on 6 shots.
Yeah. I feel like the Bucks and the Sixers game, I feel like certain things that happen with this team that probably because they're a young team, but really kill this team. And the Pistons game was actually pretty close, but I feel like it never felt that close, and it felt like the Knicks you always felt the entire Pistons game the Knicks were going to blow the game. And the Philly game was just an abomination. But it felt like the Knicks just forgot. They got lots of open looks, and they just couldn't hit a shot. And maybe it's a young team. Sometimes they just can't shoot. Everyone couldn't shoot.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just so weird because nobody could shoot for that game, and then everyone could shoot 4 days later.
Yeah, well, it was just the Sixers and the Bucks game. I'm sorry, Sixers and the Pistons game. No one could shoot, and then the Bucks game suddenly everyone's good again. Emmanuel Mudiay, who went from last week being oh my God, Emmanuel Mudiay might be someone really good. Then the Bucks and the Sixers and the Pistons game, you're like, oh, Emmanuel Mudiay, you're trash again. Welcome back to Trashville. And then he's like, hang on, I'm going to look like an MVP come the Bucks game.
Been getting a lot of messages asking if we're going to have a Mudiay apology episode. He needs to string together more than a couple games in a row for that to happen. If he can pull together a few weeks in a row, I'll do it. But every time I'm about to get back on the bandwagon, then he has a Pistons game.
He's inconsistent, But when his shooting has looked a lot better at times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the end of the Bucks game was ridiculous. Like you were like, wow, he's carrying us. I mean, and also don't forget, I mean, a lot of things happened this week. The reemergence of Dotson, who like Herzonia, please we don't need to play Herzonia again for a while.
Even after he destroyed Kawampo?
Yes, that was quite a dunk. That was awesome. He did nothing else the rest of the game.
That was his only points, but it was like the 2 greatest points of the season.
And did you hear what Greek Freak said about that?
Yeah, he said he's going to get his revenge.
Did you hear what he actually said? But beyond that, he goes, if he does that again, I'm going to punch him in the nuts.
If you missed it, Hizonia dunked over at Kawampo and then stepped over him, kind of like Iverson did to Tyronn Lue.
He was running for the dunk. I guess the Greek Freak got kind of up to go for the block, but like he wasn't there. He was there too late, and he just dunked right on him, and it was such a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
But Dotson, who I guess in the was the Pistons game where he first he started getting playing time again.
Yeah, he had 4 or 5 DNPs in a row, and all of a sudden just came back and looked great.
Yeah. So, here's something I want to say about Dotson. So Dotson went from playing, then suddenly he was out of the lineup, didn't play for like 5 straight games. They put him back in, and he was able to play. It didn't ruin his career. He didn't suddenly lose all confidence. He went 6 for 8 when they put him back in the lineup. There's someone else that may have been losing minutes recently and out of the lineup. Frank.
Are you talking about Frank? I missed every single shot for the entire week and then got 0 minutes.
And then got 0 minutes. And like people are freaking out about that. I don't know the best way to like make him a better player. But
I thought it was interesting that rumors came out that the Grizzlies and the Suns were both asking about him, and then he got 0 minutes.
I think it would be goddamn insane to trade him. I mean, obviously you can get blown away with a trade, but the value you're probably going to get from him anyway, I wouldn't trade him. What would you trade him for at this point?
Well, I mean, somebody asked me, would you do Jaren Jackson for Frank? And I would do that so quickly, but there's no way that would happen.
Well, I mean, obviously, would you do Kevin Durant for obviously there's things that are insane. Of course, I'm going to take Jaren Jackson. Looks like Rookie of the Year candidate easily. Obviously, you're going to do that. Beyond like things that are insane, like based on his level of play, the most like you might get like a mid first round pick for him. Would you do that?
No, I probably wouldn't.
I would not. I feel like he's someone you really, really want to keep around. You really want to extend and do everything you can to develop him. Whether it means him getting a lot of minutes now or less minutes because he doesn't deserve them, but you want to keep him around and see what you got with him. He's 20 years old. He has a ton of potential, especially his defense looks great still. You don't want to screw this up and let him go and have him have like a 15-year career where he's like even if he turns into Trevor Ariza, you want to keep him around.
Right. Yeah, we would have killed to have had Ariza.
Yeah, like it just I don't know what he's gonna being, but like what would you do? Like obviously like a Jaren Jackson, Tatum, all those guys like they're not gonna be offered for him. What about Fultz?
No.
Last year's
I want nothing to do with Fultz.
Okay, what about Fultz plus Philly throws in their first round pick from this year, which will be a late first round pick?
No.
What about a second round pick?
It's better than Fultz, I think.
I think I would take a flyer on Fultz, but like we got him in like a Courtney Lee for him kind of trade.
There is something said about being patient, though, because, for example, for the first 22 games of the season, I had Gordon Hayward on my fantasy team. And then I traded him. And then he got a season high in 3-point makes, points, rebounds, and assists all in the same game.
I forgot you traded him because I saw his reemergence. I was like, oh, Jay must be really happy. I forgot you got rid of him.
Well, technically, that was the last day he was on my team. So I'm hoping it was he went out with a bang instead of he finally got it together the day he got traded. And then Jeremy Lamb, who I traded for, got 21, 22, and 24 points And then the first day on my team, he got 11, his lowest scoring game of the season.
Someone's not making the playoffs. Someone's not making the play. Your team sucks. Um, yeah. So do you think? Okay, so the teams they mentioned were Phoenix and the Magic.
Right, I said Memphis. Yeah, I think it's the Magic.
Okay, who you want from the Magic to make that work? Like, what if the Magic say we'll give you Bamba, which is they're not gonna make that offer. So I don't know why I'm trying to discuss that. What if they say they give you? Forget Bamba. Who's the guy they drafted last year?
Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, Jonathan Isaac also has a ton of potential.
We'd probably do that.
That would be a reasonable. I haven't seen Isaac play. I haven't really watched Isaac play, so I know he's not setting the world on fire, but I know he has a ton of potential on defense at least.
Mm-hmm.
What about Phoenix? What if Phoenix will give you T.J. Warren?
Yep.
You do it.
Yep.
What if they give you? They're not going to give you Devin Booker, so
Josh Jackson.
Josh Jackson, that'd be another reasonable one where like the guy has a lot of potential. He has not shown it yet. He was a higher pick than Frankie.
He hasn't looked that good either.
No.
I mean, maybe it's one of those both players get better in that scenario.
Yeah, I in general feel like the way the Knicks have not been playing him that much, he's not been looking that good. No one's buying him high at this point, so you probably either you do some kind of weird swap like that, or you're basically selling him for pennies on the dollar, which just seems like a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Guys, he's an inexpensive contract. At the very least, he can play some solid defense off the bench for us. Kevin Knox? Do you want to talk about Kevin Knox?
Sure. Let's talk about Kevin Knox.
So, do you think he'll get the MVP this year?
Based on the one game sample size of the Bucks game, no.
Okay. Should we? Do you want to buy tickets for his Hall of Fame induction?
I'd say maybe we can wait a little bit. I don't think it'll be sold out anytime soon.
Do you think we should put his number in the rafters right now?
Yes.
Okay. You're excited about him, though. You're excited about that game, right?
He looked really good in that game.
Yeah. I mean, we're like, why is the guy we drafted first round looking worse than the guy we undrafted guy?
I mean,
it was
just
nice
like,
to have a game where he came out and just started looking pretty good.
Yes. I mean, I'm very happy about that. Just like the Bucks game, the Moutier game, I want to temper expectations until there's a few of those in a row, but it was very promising.
I mean, that was a crazy game also because they were down. Like, they kept going down by 15. You're like, game over. And Knicks were like, hang on a second.
Yeah, it was the opposite of what we usually see in these situations.
So I know we have a call coming up.
Yes.
So before we get to it, I have one more thing I want to talk about. We can go back to the games in a second. But So what I think really killed them in the Pistons game and the Sixers game, besides being bad at basketball, fouls. Like the Sixers game especially, the entire team almost fouled out. If they lost, they couldn't even feel the scent. They couldn't even get centers on the court anymore.
I mean, that game I almost felt it was just the officiating was really bad.
The Pistons game also, I felt the officiating was garbage.
That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
You had Vonleh fouled out in 19 minutes. Hizoni fouled out in 16 minutes, and Robinson fouled out in 17 minutes. That's ridiculous.
It was like anything Blake Griffin did. They were like, foul on the guy. I'm like, okay, Griffin's good and all that, but you can't call a foul on every goddamn thing he does.
Somehow Griffin played 36 minutes and had 0 fouls, but there's no star calls in the NBA.
None. That's what ruins the goddamn league and makes a game like this. Really, the fouls are the difference to the game. The Knicks don't get the foul calls, even without the fact they couldn't make shots. They probably would have won this game. The Sixers game, they got crushed either way. But this game was just ridiculous, the fouls they call. And like a guy like, I get Mitchell Robinson does a lot of fouls. He gets some cheap foul calls also, which kind of get annoying. But this was just an absurd amount of fouls they called on everyone.
Also, nobody wants to watch 77 free throws in a basketball game.
Actually, the only reason Dodson got to play was because, like, they were out of players.
Right.
They're like, Dodson, you got to go. Harsonia fouled out. They're like, Dodson, I guess you're going to go out there. But, yeah, there's just too many goddamn foul calls. You want to go to a call?
Yeah, let's go to a call. We're doing our 10 minutes with a diehard Knicks fan.
The segment's back.
Let's see if he answers the phone. I guess we're not going to get a ring.
Okay.
Skype's it's always an adventure.
By the way, are we all say Luke Cornett is back
Hello?
now?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, is this
Hey,
Keelan?
Mark. Yeah.
All right.
How's it going?
Thanks for joining us.
This is Mark.
Thanks.
That was Jay. How are you doing?
Good. Not too bad. How about you guys?
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
I assume since you're a big Knick fan, you are super excited about the reemergence of Luke Cornett, whose crucial 1.2 seconds of play against the Bucks led to the victory.
Yeah, man. I was shocked to see him out there. I almost had a heart attack. I was like, "What? Is that Luke?"
I imagine they're like, Coach. He's like, get in there. He's like, get in where, Coach? The game. What game, Coach? The game out in front of us.
I was shocked. I was crazy.
I mean, you're out of 7 foot
Crazy.
people. You need a rebound. Yeah, I guess we can't cut Luke Cornett
I know.
anymore.
No, Fizdale made a good comment in that presser. He said, he threw him out there to get a rebound. Nobody got that rebound.
Yeah. You know what? When Luke Cornett went out there, Ron Baker must have been like, I guess my job here is done now.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done. They need the last. I really am the last guy on the bench. I'm screwed. So
Yeah.
how do you feel about this week? We had a very weird week for Knicks world. We had the Pistons and the Sixers game where the Knicks looked like they didn't know how to shoot the basket. They had Markel Fultz disease, and then the Bucks game, which was amazing. How do you feel about this week?
Yeah, that pretty much sums up a Knicks fan's life right there. Just riding high one day and just getting smashed the next. So, what could we do? That.
So how long? So just take us back a little bit. How long have you been a Knicks fan?
Oh man, third generation Knicks fan.
Nice.
I had no choice.
You have
in the
tortured
matter.
history.
Yeah, I had no choice in that matter, and I find myself now questioning myself that I have two boys and they got Knicks jerseys, and I'm wondering, hey, is this kind of like child abuse putting our kids through this? Crying when the game we lose, and what can we do?
Yeah.
But yeah, my grandfather's a Knicks fan, my dad's a Knicks fan, and I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm passing down that misery to my kids.
That it is nice to share the misery in generations.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
I have a 11-year-old boy, 8-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old girl.
Okay. What has been their biggest Knicks moment so far in their lives?
So twice we brought them down to when the Knicks came down to Summer League because we live out here in Las Vegas. We took them out to Summer League. They got to meet Kevin Knox's dad. He took some pictures with them, and they met a couple of players from the Summer League. So they thought that was really, really cool. Walking amongst giants out there.
Yeah, that is really, really cool.
So for them, they always talk about that moment.
That is pretty amazing. I don't want to tell my son about this because he'll be jealous. And what is your biggest highlight? You've been alive a little bit longer than your kids. What's your biggest highlight of your Knicks fandom?
Oh man, it's you got to say that Allen Houston shot down in Miami. That's got to be the biggest for me. I think, man, now you put me on the spot.
Okay,
so much memories. Good.
You know what? I'll ask a much easier question for a Knicks fan. What's been your lowest moment?
Oh, my lowest.
That's not easy.
Easy question.
That's probably harder.
Yeah.
There's so many, Mark.
Or that, and also just giving away the farm for Carmelo when I had a few. He might have been coming over to New York anyway. So we just gave the whole squad away.
You know what's great? You ask like someone what's their top best Knick moment, and they're like, they think about it, they come up with something good like Allen Houston. But then you ask them but it's a tough question. Then you ask them what's their lowest moment as a Knick fan. They're like, oh, I got a top 50 list for you right now. You want me to?
Yeah.
I keep a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I can just roll it out. What about
you got all night?
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling about this team? I guess in the sense of like, are you excited about this team? Do you think where do you think we are as far as our like building a team here? Are we in the right path?
I feel like we're on the right path. I'm kind of excited about this team more so than any other team. I don't know. It must be Bizdale's charisma, but he gets you up for these games. I know, like a lot of these games, we're not going to win, but I'm just excited to see these guys go out there. They play hard, and our record, what is it, like 8-16 right now? I think at least seven of those 16 losses, if we had KP, we would have won those games, and then we would have been right up in the top for the East.
Yeah,
East, right up there with Milwaukee. So, and this is a very young team, so I'm excited about the future.
they're a confusing team. Also, I was watching with some people for the Bucks game, and one of the guys just like he'd been a Knicks fan, but hadn't really. He's kind of like gave up on the Knicks for a while and hadn't really been watching. And he's like, and he was watching. He's like, they look pretty good, and we're like, the Knicks aren't very good this year. And he's like, oh, you were like, does this win get them back to 500? We're like, they're not even goddamn close to 5. He's like, really?
No, not even close. No, but they do play hard.
They play really hard. They're in almost every game. And like just like you said, you feel like a lot of these games, they're very close. And if you had a 7'3" unicorn in the game, we might have won those games.
Oh yeah. I can count at least 7 games we could have won. We were right there within 5 points, and it's just a matter of just having a closer.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Our team does not know how to close. We get to the fourth quarter and they're rookies, and so they don't necessarily like figure out how to get this game done.
Yeah.
Do you think the Knicks will be better off for KP getting injured, in the sense of it's assuming he return to his pre-injury form, will this make them a better team having this year with this time without him?
Yeah, it does, really does. Because who knows? We might have, if KP didn't get injured. I hate to talk about this, but the Knicks could have went down that old path again of just like swinging big for free agents and stuff. This kind of forced them to get back to basics, get back to fundamentals, and like building a team, because there's too much roster turnover every year. Yeah, I think this does help. It's like addition by subtraction almost,
Yeah, I mean, now you have a bunch of guys who can do a lot on this team. KP gets back, he doesn't feel like he's carrying the weight of the team anymore.
Yeah, and then they get back to just talk about the Melo days where people used to just stand around and just watch Melo do his thing. Now it could have been like that with KP, because that's the way it was trending. It was trending last year.
Definitely trending. Right before he got injured, I feel like every game was KP trying to get his position on the block, getting forced out, so not even getting good positioning, and then forcing a shot up, and the Knicks just went down. It was looking like KP wanted to be Melo, and that's not what we want.
Yes, Melo passed on his most dominant trait.
I was like, why did we have to draft a unicorn and have him mentored by Melo?
Yeah, man.
But I like a lot of things in this team. So let me ask you one big question. We have 3 top 10 picks for first round for point guards, and yet no one can play point guard. What's your take on the point guard situation going forward?
So this is my point, my thoughts on it. I could be wrong. Phil drafted Frank, and I love Frank. I love his defense. Right? Yeah. But Phil drafted Frank, and the Knicks were trying to do that triangle thing, They kept forcing on people. And
isosceles, go on.
And Frank fit that bill for a triangle point guard, Right. You don't really need a high-scoring point guard. You just need somebody with length that plays some defense, all of which Frank does wonderfully. So the problem with people getting on Frank nowadays is because where he was drafted. He does very well at what he does, but it's not what our current Knicks team needs. We need somebody that can put the ball in the hoop,
Yeah.
So that's it. And Trey Burke, great, bless him, but he's just too small. I see him get outworked a lot.
Yeah.
On the defensive side. And Moutier, there were rumors that we were going to get Moutier in that draft where we got KP, and I just don't know if we can really trust him. I mean, he's having a resurgence, but who knows how long that's going to last, man.
Who of the 3 of them, who do you have right now? Who's your front runner for Knicks point guard?
Oh man. Well, as of right now, it has to be Moutier with the numbers he's been putting up, and that game last night.
Oh crap!
In the God, I mean, Like, I had to take back half of the things I said about the man.
I mean, we all said a lot of very negative things about Moutier. We all kind of wanted him sent to Siberia, not to Knicks training camp.
Right.
This is also like, here's one of the things I've also been thinking about is that, so Moutier looked like a pile of dog poo poo for a while. Like last year when the Knicks got him, it looked terrible. And our coach hired the coach in his opening press conference, his first day press conference, was like, we're gonna fix you, pointing to Moutier.
I know.
And so he made it a mission to like rehabilitate Moutier's game. And Moutier now looks like, at the very least, he could be a very solid backup in this league. I don't know if he's gonna be a starting point guard, but we've all thought like, hey, the Knicks want it. There might be something here with Moutier. So if he could do this, should we really question what he's doing with Frank?
No, you're absolutely right. You can't really. We have to just trust. We have to trust that word, that process word they keep using out in Philly. But we have to almost trust trust the way Fizz is doing his thing right now, because it seems to be working out. And look at Dodson. For a while, I was wondering what is Mario doing out on the court and Dodson sitting on the pine like that. And look, Dodson's coming back, and he's just playing out of his mind right now. So you almost got to trust what Fizz is doing, you know?
I feel like
as you want to buck against it.
I mean, I would start questioning if Dodson does not play going forward, because Dodson's look great.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about Dodson. Who, again, a lot of the guys, I don't think he'll be an all-star, but he could be a very good player and, like, potentially a starter for this team for a while. But, like, Urzonia, as much as he's looked like he has not looked good, and a guy that's supposed to be good on offense, he's been more known for his defense the last, like, couple games. But you signed him. You can't just, like, 15 games of the season go, we're done with him. You got to figure out if you have something here with him. So I kind of get Fizz giving him a chance to start.
No, I get it. There's definitely some politics behind that, in my opinion. You know.
What do you think the politics?
Perry drafted him. As they're saying, Scott Perry drafted him in Orlando.
Yeah.
You know.
But don't you feel like
he's our GM? So
we brought in a reclamation project. Don't you think Fizz, any reclamation project they bring in, Fizz is going to give the guy some run and give him a chance?
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, our roster consists of a lot of them, so we got to see what we got. We got to see what we got, right?
Reclamation, thy name is Knicks. So Frankie, there's rumors about people wanting to trade for him, or teams wanting to trade him. I guess Orlando and Phoenix in particular. There's some rumors. Should Frankie is someone that you want to trade him, or is someone that you want to make sure they extend him? Like, where do you should he be? Where are you on him?
Man, I love Frank. We need to keep him. Frank reminds me of those old 80s, 90s Knicks defense. We got to keep Frank. We got to keep him. He can be our Tony Allen, our grinder. You know, a lot of people when we had Melo, they used to say Melo was put out so much on offense, he was too tired to play defense. He has to take off on defense because he's pouring it out on offense. Well, vice versa with Frank. He pours it out on defense, so I'm gonna take his lack of offense because I know he's locking his guy down. Hey, he locked down Terry Rozier the other day when they played Boston.
Yeah.
No, he locks his guy down, and he's good with help defense. So you know what? Those are things that don't show up in the box score. So we got to take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah.
And we always talk about the Knicks never play defense. We get a guy with defense, and now we want to ship him to Phoenix.
You know what's an interesting as far as defense, the underappreciation of defense? They mentioned this during the game a couple nights ago, maybe the Detroit game. Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. And his offensive numbers are garbage. But how could Ben Wallace not be in the Hall of Fame?
Nah, he has to. They gotta. He's getting in. He needs to get in.
He's got to get in. He's just like he was an absolute game-changing force. How do you not put him in the Hall of Fame?
He has to go in. But I hope we keep Frank.
I hope we keep Frank too. I am so on board with it. Let's ask about some other young guys. What are your thoughts? Is Knox? Are we going to see more of Knox versus the Bucks? Are we going to see more of that Knox? Is this a start or something?
Man, I sure hope so. He's a young kid, 19 years old. He's finding his way. There is that potential, and I know every time you hear the word, "Oh, this guy got potential," that potential is never seen. But I think we got a young guy in Knox, and he looks like he puts in the work. And he looks like he's unfazed by things. We kind of need that in New York.
So I mentioned I was watching the Bucks game with someone that hadn't watched them in a while and was surprised how he thought the Knicks would have a better record. And so we were watching, and certain players look pretty good. And he's like, oh, that guy's he's hitting the shot, man, and he's like, how old's that guy? We're like 19. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And
he just turned 19.
You're like, what are you talking about? He's 19 years old. The Knicks have so many guys that are so the future looks pretty bright. I don't know. I feel like
they're so young. They're so young. If we could just get Porzingis back, maybe not even a big free agent, just a couple of solid, and we can definitely make some noise in the East.
Do you think Trier? What's his potential?
Trier, man, I like what he's doing, but I kind of feel like we have this history of getting guys like Trier, like Landry Fields. They have a couple of a good year or two, and then they kind of fizz out there. So I don't know. I still we'll see how that goes. But I like what he brings to the table. I wish he wouldn't complain about not getting calls all the time.
Yes. He does look. I love his. I wish Ntilikina would drive to the basket the way he does. He has that
yes.
I am going to get my points, and that's a pretty awesome thing. He has no fear. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's probably our best penetrator.
Yeah. Timmy or him. Yeah. But So we're almost out of time here. Let me ask you. I mean, the big question for the offseason, major free agents. First of all, are we getting a major free agent? Do you think Durant or Kemba or anyone else is coming here?
Yeah. I mean, we got the money.
But a lot of teams got the money.
Somebody will come.
A lot of teams, the money. The Knicks don't have more money than anyone else. Everyone can sign a max.
No. Well, I think we're going to get a free agent. It's probably not the one we're going to overpay somebody. That's what's going to happen.
We're going to max Amari again?
Yeah, we're going to overpay somebody.
Who? Any prediction of who? Who would be the nightmare scenario?
Oh, no, Kemba wouldn't be a nightmare, but who would be a nightmare scenario? Man, they try to get Terry Rozier from Boston by giving him a massive contract knowing that Boston's can't match. Kind of like what we did with Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, the Hardaway hasn't been that bad, but that would be a pretty bad. It does not look like a great idea at this moment to give Terry Rozier a massive contract.
No.
And any chance Durant comes here?
No, I don't think he's coming.
Yeah,
I just think. I think he wants to go to a team that's more established. We're still young, and it's just going to be too much pressure on Durant to come out in New York. We're going to want some.
Yeah, it'd be quite a test. I'd be super impressed if he was like, "Hey, I want to go to one of the worst teams in the NBA, and they're going to make them a champion." I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. He could pull. I mean, look at Cleveland. They were the worst team in the NBA. LeBron got there 4 straight years. They went to the finals. He left. They're back to being the worst team in the NBA. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Durant could pull the same thing and go, the Knicks are mired. They're in the basement. I will take them and ride them to the title. That would be. He does that, and you're like, Durant's stature would just go up immensely. I mean, it was already going to go down all-time greats, but people would be like, their appreciation of him. Yeah. I mean, I think would just carry him down the parade. We'd be like, no, you can just stand on our faces, and we'll take you down the Broadway.
Mm-hmm. But do you think if Durant comes, we would stop our rebuild because we would kind of go in that win now mode?
You'd have
stop developing guys. Yeah,
that would be the unfortunate part.
Right?
Yeah, you get him in. You have KP. The problem what would happen right away is that some of the guys would stay, and some of the guys you tried to flip, like a Frank mimight be flipped or some veterans. They'd go all in on getting veterans, and you couldn't argue against it if Durant came here. So it would be a weird.
No, he's almost.
And it sounds like you're on the same page as me. I I really, really like the young rebuild, and I feel like you add KP, this team looks a lot better. Maybe add some pieces, some decent, I don't know if we have to go all in to really go.
Let's just hit some singles. Let's just hit a couple of singles and not try to go for the fence all the time.
Yeah, our pursuit of shiny objects has not worked out for the last 20 years, so let's try something different.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. I do like the front office. I do trust them a lot more than I've trusted any Knicks front office in a long time. So,
did you buy into Phil? I bought into Phil. Did you buy into Phil?
Oh, he had to buy into Phil. He plays for the Knicks. There's this thing where I bought in just like anybody else. I bought in.
I was hook, line, and sinker. Complete sucker.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
So last question for you. Oh, sorry.
Uh-huh.
Go.
No, just Phil didn't adapt to the times.
Yeah. So I want from you last question. I want a bold prediction for just anything about the Knicks. Just something bold out there.
A bold prediction.
Bold prediction. It could be for this season. It could be next season. Anything. I want some bold prediction from you.
Okay. And his captain is making the All-Star game.
And it's going to make the All-Star game. I don't like that because the Knicks will be like, we can max out an All-Star. He's young. He's an All-Star. Yeah. My nightmare scenario would be the Knicks going big on bringing back Cantor.
Yeah, and Fizdale wins Coach of the Year.
That'd be almost impossible, but that's going pretty bold. Maybe for next year, if you make the prediction for next year, I can get on board with that. This year, it'd be pretty tough to go Coach of the Year, 20 wins. That goes together.
Yeah. So we'll see, but it's exciting. It's exciting to watch this team.
Very exciting to watch this team. So thank you for joining us, Jay. Anything you want to add?
Thank you for having me.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Website, Twitter, or anything like that?
No. Just go watch the Knicks, everybody. Let's cheer this team on.
I have to say, this is the most fun Knicks team I've seen in a while. So at least since they've been bad, this team is finally fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
So thank you for joining us. And we, anything else, Jay?
No, that's it. Thank you so much. It was a great call again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for calling, man. It was good talking to you guys. I like it. It's like therapy. Somebody to talk to make us weird.
That's why we started this podcast, actually.
It's just, we definitely need therapy.
All right. Take care, man.
Good night.
You too.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Another good call.
Batting
100.
Yeah. Do you want to get in some questions? Or anything you want to go back as far as the game? Do you want to go back to anything?
No, I just want to say, do you put any? Are you worried at all that Frank played 0 minutes on the same day that the rumors came out that teams were asking about him, or do you think this is just Fizdale basically giving him a timeout like he did with Dodson and regrouping?
I think the theory is that Burke didn't even really play. So Burke played 1 minute. What? So Burke is injured, right?
Burke hurt his knee 1 minute into the game.
Yeah.
So that's why I was more concerned, because Burke got hurt and Frank still didn't play.
Yeah, I feel like it was just if he was going to get traded, I guess in theory we already would have heard the news. If they pull him out of the game for a trade, your theory is that basically they pulled him out because they're negotiating a trade and they don't want to get him injured while they're negotiating.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Might be a possibility.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to be completely clear. Yeah, I don't think this. I can't imagine this front office trading Ntilikina, especially this far into the season. Giving up on him this fast would be. And there are definitely rumors out there that the Knicks front office is not sold on him.
Right. Yeah, I've heard those rumors, which is, I found it interesting that I heard those rumors, and I heard other teams were asking about him all within 48 hours of him getting 0 minutes.
From 0 to 10, how shocked would you be if he was traded in the next week?
3. I wouldn't be that surprised.
I'm going to go with a flat out 10 on this. I would be goddamn floored this team traded him this early. He's not done. His defenses look so good. He's on rookie contract for 2 more years. 2 more years, right? And you can extend him. You have team control of the guy. It just seems insane to give up on him so fast.
It would, but it's not like the Knicks haven't done things like this before.
I know. So I guess my theory is that maybe it's a different organization. Your theory is it's still the Knicks, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, until they can prove that this isn't the same old Knicks. I mean, yeah, we have a small sample size where it looks like they're turning things around, but call me crazy, but I'm not completely convinced that things have changed.
No, I mean nothing. I mean, also, the Knicks have looked competitive up to this point, and they have a bad record, but they've looked competitive. We've had fun with this team. But the last couple of years of misery, the Knicks have looked good for the first 30, 40 games of the season before falling off a cliff, right?
Yeah.
There's always a chance that the Knicks look good through game 24 now, and after game 40, the Knicks could be a complete disaster. Every game could look like the Philly game for all we know.
I mean, we've seen that happen before too.
Yeah, so you're right. It's hard to completely trust them until proven otherwise. Until you get a better reason to trust them.
Well, it's also if the front office has lost faith in them and they get a decent offer, what's stopping them from trading him? It's not like it seems like we have more stock in Frank than the front office does at this point.
Right. I just feel like teams looking at this, Orlando and Phoenix, might be saying the Knicks are doing a bad job of developing him, and he will look better here, which is totally understandable to say. But even if you're saying that, are you making a major offer? Fultz, a guy that has so much more potential than Moody. I mean, he was drafted number 1 overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like teams are. It doesn't sound like teams are blowing Philly away with offers.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more baggage with Fultz.
Yeah, so Moutier's already proven he's a very solid defender. And it's not Moutier, sorry. Ntilikina has proven he's a solid defender. His offense, yeah, it's not like Fultz seems like there's more there.
Fultz has proved absolutely nothing except maybe that he's also a head case on top of maybe having injury issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's someone I would roll the dice on him just because if he does work his crap out, you could have an all-star. I don't see the Ntilikina being traded. I just, if anything, I would think if he's going to get traded, it'll be in the offseason this year after they've given Fizz a full season to work with him.
I mean, I agree. We should give him more time. I think last episode we listed a bunch of guards that didn't really get good until year 3.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, people are, that's all over Twitter. Every time people talk about Frank, they're either trashing him or talking about, hey, did you know so-and-so didn't have that great numbers either, when he was his age also. James Harden's numbers didn't look that great when he was this age.
I disregard that whole post.
I mean, because it's all these players that were the same age where their numbers didn't look good and they didn't stay in the NBA either. And then there are guys that
I saw a post that showed players like Harden and Dirk and who at age 20 did not have good seasons, but none of them shot nearly as bad as Frank's shooting this season, and all of them took a huge leap in their second year, whereas Frank looks like he's actually taken a step backwards in his second year. So
Gary Payton's numbers are pretty bad.
I think it was SNY that posted it, but they listed 5 or 6 really good players that started off bad, but like I said, they took a huge leap in year 2. And
no. Here's one. I mean, Chauncey Billups shot for his first 2 years. He was shooting over. I mean, whatever. The problem really is with all this. You can find examples of guys that weren't good at this age, and you can find examples of guys that were good and became bad. Okafor was good and became bad. And you can find all these different examples. It's just a matter of, do you think Frank is going to get better? Really?
Right.
And if you think he's going to get better, you'll point to the examples of James Harden having bad numbers his first year. If you think he's going to be trash, you'll point to the examples of you'll just say who cares? Lots of guys end up being bad also.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even watching him, do you think there's reason for hope of watching him?
I do. I'm very concerned.
So Defense, in agreement. We're both in agreement. Defense is pretty solid, right?
Yeah, it's very solid. He's
Very solid.
I'm not worried about that at all.
Not worried about that at all. And defense obviously a big part of the game, but offense very much matters.
Especially in the guard position.
Yes, offense, or maybe he's a 3. Maybe he's 3 and D. Like offense wise, we also
but he's
agree
shooting
that
25% from 3.
I mean, we agree he can get better, right? Let's look at Trevor Ariza.
Well, everybody could get better. Dwight Howard could get better at free throws.
Dwight Howard could stay healthy ever. Out for 2.5 months.
Is that the first 2.5 month butt injury in the history of the NBA?
Trevor Ariza shot 23%, and then 20. He actually looks like he barely shot the 3 in his first couple of years. It's probably not a very good example, but he was not a very good 3-point shooter and became one. Last guy's become. I like his form. It looks like he could, if he works out, maybe become a better 3-point shooter. Who the hell knows? At times he drives to the basket, and he looks like he can really take it to the basket. He shows some good moves at times, right?
Yeah, it's just those times are very few and far between. I mean, he was 0 for 8 for 0 points this week.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
Well, what if we extrapolate that out? Like 0 for 8, what becomes like 0 for 50? Like that's more O.
I would agree that is worse, yes. Would you also agree that 0 for 100 would be even worse than that? Where are you going with this exercise?
Yeah. I was just, I don't know. I am far from ready to giving up with that. I also agree that if Ntilikina was our undrafted free agent, we would have just already said he is what he is. He might be a guy off the bench. We wouldn't be like, we would just say, yeah, he's not a very good NBA player.
Yeah, that's the thing. If Robinson and Frank had switched where they got drafted, you'd be like, oh, everything's fine. We didn't have any expectations, which is a problem though, because we'd be ready to write him off if he wasn't drafted in the top 10.
Everyone anchors. There's such an anchor basically to where the person was drafted. If they're drafted really high, you want to put so much more in because you feel like this guy has such a ceiling. Then if they weren't drafted, like Trier, he got the perfect situation in the Knicks. He could have easily gone to another team and not gotten off the bench because he was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Ntilikina thing, he drives people crazy. But I don't think it's happened. So let's move on from Ntilikina. Where are you with Knox? He looked great in the Bucks game. Do you think we're onto something? He's going to be. Do you think now he's going to emerge, or very inconsistent? We'll see some of these games going forward, but some just terrible games going forward also.
Yeah.
It seems like the most logical scenario.
Yeah,
right?
I don't believe he's. Oh, he had a good game. Now he's just going to be good. Like he could easily have a 2 for 8 4-point game tomorrow.
At the same time, people were getting concerned about him, which seemed insane. 15 games into his career. But what do you think, Knox? Do you think Knox is like all-star potential?
I would be beyond excited if he was an all-star. I mean, I guess it's possible.
Really? You'd be excited if the guy we drafted was an all-star?
Beyond excited, because I don't think he's going to get there. But it's possible. It's in the cards.
Of all the guys on this team, but all the rookies or even second-year guys, first and second-year guys, he has the most potential to be an all-star.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to move on to questions?
Sure. We have a question from V. We're just listening to the Ringer podcast with Vernon O'Connor. Vernon was mentioning how he met some inside people on the Knicks organization when they play the Grizzlies, and how the Knicks are all very optimistic on the future of the Knicks and what they have in Trier, Knox, Robinson, Burke, and Vonleh. But then they mentioned Ntilikina. This is where it all turned. He said that everyone he spoke to was out on him. He's not a point guard nor a shooting guard, and how they're all just confused with what he is. No one said, hey, he needs some time. We're optimistic he's going to get there. He's got promise. Nothing. As Stephen A. says, he doesn't just have it. It looks like the Knicks are pretty much out on him too. I know you guys are optimistic on him, but I just don't see it. I was already borderline out on Ntilikina, but after listening to that pod, it concerned me even more. If we can get rid of Frank, who do you think will take him, and who can we get in return? Love the pod, guys. Keep up the great work.
I think going back to what we said before, the most optimistic trade scenario is either you're swapping him with another pick that hasn't worked out just yet, like a Josh Jackson or the guy in Orlando. What's his name again?
Were you saying Isaac? Because I wouldn't say he's
Isaac.
not working out.
Well, Isaac has not looked amazing yet, has he?
I don't know, but he got injured for a while.
Okay, I'm just saying he hasn't taken a leap yet.
He's all over the place. Like he had 15 and 16-point games recently, but he also had a 2-point game right after that. So he's.
I just look at his numbers. Just basically, he's only played 9 games, but he's averaging about 8 points a game. He's shooting 44% from the floor, which is pretty bad for a big man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, like, he's also a guy that hasn't he hasn't taken the next level. So like, whatever. The most optimistic thing is getting another first round pick that was underperforming, or getting a first round pick for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns offered Josh Jackson.
Yeah, Josh Jackson, who I wonder what his numbers look like this year. That looks like a huge miss. If he, I thought he'd be really good. Also, he was one of the guys I would have been really high in the Knicks getting.
He's averaging 8 and 3 this season, which is worse than last season. So he's also taken a step back this season.
What's the shooting like? Any?
It's about the same. He's shooting 40% and 26%. So that's almost exactly what he was shooting last season.
Yeah,
and his minutes went down by 5 or 6. So maybe that's why his other numbers went down a little bit.
I mean, they have more talent there, so they got Ayton, they got Bridges, they got Ariza there. It's harder to get minutes there now. I don't know. Is there anything else you would say that they would get for him?
I would look at, those are the kind of things I would look at. Players who got drafted with high expectations and haven't really panned out yet.
Yeah. As far as like getting excited for him, so what do you think about those comments that the Knicks organization is kind of out on him? Do you think that's true? There's no reason for them to like. There's no reason for that to like. They weren't trying to slander the Knicks or like make shit up. I imagine like he probably did talk to sources that were like that said that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely truth to that. It seemed like there was reliable sources that gave that information.
I feel like Fizz is frustrated with him. Like I think the minutes have gone down because Fizdale expected more from him, and it's like he thought more would come out of him, and he's basically been frustrated with him. So he's been like giving him a different kind of treat. Like I think he started off by trying to like really build up his ego and tell him to be himself out there, and it's not working. Fizz is frustrated, so he's taking a different method to like kind of develop him.
Yeah. I definitely can see that. He looks like he has no confidence on offense, and
how much do you think the Knicks organization losing faith on him is because he's a Phil guy?
I don't buy into that.
Okay, you think it's mostly just on the court stuff and not?
I think it's because he literally provides nothing on offense.
Yeah, you don't hear anyone saying they're out on Dotson, so I'm surprised the guys were like, we're in on Burke.
Yeah,
like, was it just after the Celtics game?
If he needs scoring off the bench,
like he's a guy I'm not sure he'll be here next year. Even though I like him, it's just that like with what Trier gives, do you bring like I don't know how much it's going to cost. Also, he might end up coming back on a pretty reasonable deal. So I don't know.
Yeah, you know who's also pretty much out of the lineup?
Who?
Harry Giles.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
When was he drafted? Was that last year?
Yeah. His 20th pick, 6'10", got some potential.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm not dying to go for a 20th pick though either. Like I want if you're gonna swap Ntilikina, you want a guy that has a little bit higher, like another top 10 pick or top 15 pick maybe. And then again, not putting too much of the way guys are drafted, but you want another guy that has a lot of potential also.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to swap him. I don't want to trade him for anyone. So like I don't want to trade him, so I want to keep him, and I want to give him more of a run.
I'm just giving examples of the type of deal that, if anything happened, could possibly go through.
What if Phoenix calls up and says, "We'll give you Bridges"? We were both thought Bridges would have been a very solid pick.
I know, and they don't look very good at all. Either Bridges.
Yeah, no, that's true also. But what if you say like they say we'll give you Bridges? He hasn't like he's still he's 2 months removed from a guy that you would have drafted. We'll give you Bridges for Frankie.
No, I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that either. But I thought Bridges would look better. But a lot of guys, I don't know. You got another question?
Yeah, I think we've given that plenty of time.
Yeah. Do you think who have we not addressed? Do you think Vonleh is someone that's going to be back next year?
Yeah, I think they have plans for him.
One of the things people keep talking about is who's going to be back next year, and that salary cap is going to be a factor because a lot of guys are on 1-year deals. If they're going to sign a max guy, it's not going to be so easy to have like you like to bring a lot of the roster back, but it's not going to be so easy to bring everyone back.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like also it's probably too early to like figure this stuff out right now.
Yeah, I think I would rather give a bunch of these guys like $6 million contracts than try and swing for the fences.
Unless you're getting like Durant.
Yeah, obviously.
Like one of the things I feel like is that people are getting too. What is it like? People I keep hearing people go like, you shouldn't play so and so because he's not going to be here next year. Mm-hmm. Should the coach be thinking like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially in a season where I don't think they have championship expectations or anything.
I feel like that makes more sense. You're talking about like Jared Jack versus Frank NtilikinaLearn. Jack's obviously gone. He's a veteran. There's no development here. Like a guy like Moutier, some people think he's not going to be back, so why play him? Where I feel like Moutier, let's see if we can develop him, and if he's good, we'll find a way to bring him back.
Yeah.
And I feel like the coach shouldn't be like trying to pick right now who's going to be back next year. He should be trying to figure out which young guys are good.
I think that's what they're doing, though.
Yeah, I know they're doing that. I just see on Twitter people going crazy about like who's getting minutes. What's the next question?
Jorge writes, thoughts on Greg Popovich quotes about the three-point shooting has made the NBA boring. I don't agree fully because I had fun watching the 54-win Knicks shoot the threes. I think it's the defense and touchy fouls that are trash.
I think he asked and answered the question for me. I totally think what's made the touchy fouls and all that, I think that's what made the league boring and terrible. Do you think the three-point shooting has made the league worse?
No. I do think the flopping and the touch fouls and the fact that you can't defend anybody now is more of a problem.
Yeah, I think it's like a way more like Golden State. They're the ultimate three-point shooting team. You think they're fun to watch?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which three-point shooting team is not like? Is it the ones that just can't hit the threes, or the ones that aren't as fun to watch?
No, the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean the Rockets, but the Rockets are not fun because of the flopping and like like how Harden gets a foul every time he goes to the basket.
Yeah, Harden just lowering his shoulder into people and getting the foul called on them is not fun to watch. Then you also end up watching 50 to 70 free throws a game.
But him hitting like Gordon or anything else for like anyone else for like him passing out to a 3-point shooter and having that 3-point shooter hit the shot, like, is that boring?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Pop also like clearly does not buy into this whole 3-point shooting system, right? He
does not, and I am not saying that Melo was ruining the Rockets, but I am saying that in the 5 games since he's left, Gordon has hit about 33s. Yeah, you mentioned this on last show, but well, since last show he had a 7 3-point game and 2 threes. So, by the way, where are they now? I think officially signed Joakim Noah on the Grizzlies. That is true. Yeah. Will Joakim Noah play more minutes this year than Kyle O'Quinn? No. I think he's going to play for like 3 games, and then the Grizzlies are going to be like, oh, that's why the Knicks paid him to go away. Kyle O'Quinn right now is averaging 5.8 minutes a game. Yeah, I don't think Noah plays that much. I was going to say, Kyle O'Quinn basically has disappeared from the NBA by leaving. It's also, these are one of the things that happen when he want to play for a contender, which is great, but when you go to a contender, you might have trouble getting playing time. Yeah.
Do you think this is also like an example? People were in love with Kylo Quinn, and an example of the Knicks people getting too in love with players that are on bad teams.
That's my worry about Frank.
I'm worried about a lot of guys on this team.
Are we like liking him too much just because he was a top 10 pick for our team?
But like all these guys, like we were in love with. Do you think Trier goes to another team and like disappears also? Do you think a lot of our guys like disappear on other teams because we just don't have the talent?
I think most of them have disappeared on other teams.
Like it almost like when I think about that, like after the Philly game, I was just convinced. I'm like, you know what the Knicks need to do? Just not win a game the rest of the season. They just need to tank because we just need more talent. The only way we're gonna get talent is getting a top 5 pick. I was just like, the Bucks game was awesome. I wanted the Knicks to win the Bucks game. I'm not ready to tank yet, but like. I feel like the Knicks could just use another. They just need more injection of talent in this team.
Yeah, I mean, Zion would go a long way as far as a rebuilding.
It would make a big like if you look at the guy like watching the Philly game. Like I'm watching that being like, holy crap! Embiid and Simmons are really good. I mean, I knew that already, but like,
yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Like Embiid, I'm like, I love KP. Embiid's better than KP.
Well, no question.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm like, maybe tanking works well. I mean, like I don't know. It's freaking hard to make a good team in the NBA. That's what it comes down to.
Matt writes. He wrote an email called "Fixing Hizonia." Hey guys, after the Memphis game, I watched Fizz and Mario embrace and walk off the court arm in arm. Fizz appeared to say a couple things directly to Mario that I imagined / hoped was something like "You're next." What does Fizz need to do with Mario to get the kind of career turnaround he appears to have accomplished with both Vonleh and Moutier? So, Fizz seems to have a great rapport with his players. They were talking to Dodson, and he said obviously he wanted to play, but during those games where he didn't play, Fizdale was saying, "We're going to need you. Be ready. We're looking at other players right now, but we are going to go back to you." And he said because of that open communication, he wasn't mad.
Right. As opposed to like the Knicks, the ordinary course of Knicks where like you just don't play, no one tells you that night you weren't going to play, and then you don't know when you even get back to the lineup.
Yeah. You don't know when you're going to see the court again. You don't know why you stopped seeing the court and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say the one, like, I'm really having a lot of faith in Fizz right now. Like, he's playing calling out of timeouts is terrible. Some of his moves on the court, on his rotation are suspect, but generally player development, which is the biggest thing the team needs right now, has looked pretty good.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of good things. So, as far as fixing Hizonia, his defense has looked better than I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be a huge problem.
I'm shocked actually. He's not like a good defender, but he doesn't look. Yeah, you thought with that starting lineup he would like. I mean, you thought everyone would look bad, but you think Hizonia out there would like run the Knicks off the court because he couldn't guard anyone. And I agree. But how do you fix him?
I think you have to try and run some plays through him, get him involved, and I think he's a guy who wants to feel like he is a huge part of the team. So maybe make an effort to feed him the ball a few times at the beginning of the game to see if you can get him going. Yeah.
He's also a guy I feel like he wants to have the ball in his hands more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess running the offense more through him.
I don't know if you want that necessarily, but maybe that just gets his confidence up a little more and gets him going.
I think that like Fizz was hoping that would happen more with that starting lineup. Do you think is the starting lineup going to change this week?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's been a while it's been like 4 whole games since the lineup changed, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been stuck with this Hizonia situation for a while.
I think Washington's playing pretty poorly right now. If the Knicks lose to Washington, the lineup might change.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Why not? Like, do you think there's a chance that like just Dotson takes that Hizonia spot, which seems like the most logical? If you're gonna make any change in the lineup, that seems like the most logical change right now.
Yeah, because Hizonia is already playing very small amount of minutes, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal to just switch them out.
And Dotson's looked so good this week that you could definitely say he's earned a shot back to the starting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could say I can't believe he's starting over me, considering the way he's looked.
Yeah.
So that would be the one change. I can't believe I'm saying keep Moutier as the starting point guard, but that's the way it's looking right now.
It's really, I mean, he's looked pretty good, and the guys below him in the rotation don't exactly they're not lighting the world. Like we had this whole conversation on Frank, so obviously he doesn't. You're not dying for Frank to start right now, and then Burke hasn't looked consistent enough, and Burke just has less potential than Moutier does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my take on Hazonia is there's no fixing him. He's not going to be. He's not a serious NBA. I don't see him having a long NBA career, and I think the Knicks are better off giving up on him sooner. And I probably said that I would have said the same thing about Moody a while back, so I could be dead wrong.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for emails. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. We're also nyknickspodcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com is our website. You can buy Knicks Podcast shirts, or you can join our Patreon, where you can basically subscribe for as low as $1 a month to help support the show. And we have Facebook questions now, right?
Yeah. Jay, when you get your CPA, will you plug your tax advice on the show? Like, will people be able to buy a Knicks TM T-shirt and get their taxes done by you? As like a bonus for buying a Knicks T-shirt?
We shall see. Are you talking about like me just doing taxes for free?
No. They buy a T-shirt for $10 and you do their taxes. It'd be a good way. It'd be a good selling point to get the T-shirts out.
Yeah, just go $40,000 in debt to get a CPA and then give out my services for free. It sounds great. It sounds like a good business plan.
Guerrilla marketing, Jay. Guerrilla marketing.
Go better than the pens I bought.
Jeffrey writes, a couple of pods ago, I mentioned that I had already heard James Harden comparisons for Trier. This week, I heard SI's Open Floor podcast throw love Zoe's way. And by the way, Open Floor, Jay turned me on to that show maybe a short while ago. It is now my favorite all NBA podcast.
It's my go-to one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I Ringer with Bill Simmons. I like when he talks NBA. It's great. I like their NBA show, like Zach Lowe's show. There are a bunch of good shows out there. Open Floor is the best one. And Eddie Johnson on Sirius XM NBA channel listed Zoe as number 4 in the Rookie of the Year watch. Given that he'll probably improve over the years and get actual NBA calls from refs, which is true, he does not. I know he complains a lot, but he does not get a lot of calls. What do you see his ceiling as being? And this is all linked to because he's undrafted, your ceiling's gonna be lower. If he was a first round pick, your ceiling would be higher, Jay.
Yeah, that is true. I'm trying not to overrate him just because he's performing well as a Knick.
Right. Which is what you also want to do because he's.
I mean, I don't. I don't think
scoring
he's going to be
wise.
like
Let's break it down a little bit. Do you think he could be a 20-point-a-night guy?
No, but I think he could be between 15 and 20.
Yeah, I think 15 points a game a night. I think no question he has that potential. Easily be a 15-point guy. Potentially, maybe he gets to 20, which is very solid.
I mean, if he did that, he could make like 1 to 2 All-Star games.
So do you think he's also defense-wise? He's looked pretty decent out there in defense. He's not he's not NtilikinaLearn out there. But
he's not getting stomped.
He's not getting stopped. He looks like he's holding his own on defense. So you think defense-wise, whole career he'll continue to hold his own? Like, you think he'll ever be like an elite defender?
No, but all we need for him to do is be decent.
Okay.
I mean, if he's slightly above league average, I'm good with that.
So 15 to 20 points a night, at least league average defense, and shooting-wise, is he going to be an efficient shooter? Right now, he is. Right now, he's pretty darn, looking at Trier's numbers, last time I looked, at least his numbers look pretty good on shooting. And obviously, it's a small sample size, but right now, for a guy that's scoring 11 points a game, he's shooting 48% from the field and 43% from 3, but he's not shooting a lot of threes. And I imagine he'll shoot more threes going forward, but he's been pretty efficient, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you like those numbers. I think it's about 18 points a game when you go per 36. So we're saying ceiling, a potential all-star in the future?
Potential, yeah.
Okay. And yeah, when like floor-wise, do you think he'll also would you say floor is a Langston Galloway type player?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. Like a Langston Galloway, a solid role player off your bench. NBA, playing the NBA for a long time, but doesn't he's not your number one guy. He's not your number one guy off the bench. Like I'd say it's floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's your rookie of the year right now?
Doncic.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. Jared Jackson, I think, would be close, but I'd say Doncic right now. Doncic's look really. Can you imagine the Knicks just got Doncic?
I know. I mean, Dallas was so bad, and they just beat. I mean, I can't believe the Clippers are number one, but they just beat the Clippers.
That is crazy. The Clippers number one, but it's just like you get a guy like that, and your team just turns around. Frank writes, I was pretty close to jumping off the Emmanuel Mudiay train, but he came back in a big way Saturday. Anyway, Dotson is back in the rotation and looking good after his benching. Do you think Fizdale is using the same approach with Frank as he did with Dot, or do you think he's actually losing faith in him?
I think he's losing faith. Oh, by the way, as I said that the Mavericks beat the Clips, Doncic was out for that game.
Doncic is so good that he forced them to win when he's not even playing.
He taught the entire team how to play better. Oh, good. Thank you, box score site. Okay.
Yeah. So I would disagree. So you think Fizz is losing faith? I think Fizz is just changing. I probably to a certain extent, but I think Fizz is really just changing his approach, hoping that limiting him more might help him
change his approach and limiting him by playing him 0 minutes.
Hey, he played Dotson for 0 minutes for a few games, and now he's looking pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm just saying this is not necessarily going to ruin him, and maybe we should just trust in Fizz.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to get ruined by getting benched for a couple games, then he's pretty thin-skinned.
But all this stuff coming out doesn't seem great for Frank's future here.
Yeah, no. If it was just the not playing last game, or just the rumors, or if it was one of these things, but all these things put together seems like a lot of evidence.
What drives me crazy though about all this is that while his offense does not look good, his defense looks good. He's very playable right now. It's not like he goes out there and just shits the bed. He plays 20 minutes. He's going to play solid defense. Generally, he's a plus on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's just a minus on the floor? Or even when he's not hitting shots, you feel like he does other things that are helping the Knicks win.
The thing is, though, if you are shooting that bad, then teams play so far off of you, it changes the whole scheme of the defense on the defense. The offense that you're playing, because you know what I mean? Yeah, no,
I see or if you can't shoot three, they play off you. Yes, you're right. So it does make a big difference. I just generally see there are lots of stretches where he goes out there, plays with maybe plays for a second unit, and the Knicks look better because he's out there. It seems like, or the Knicks just look better in the stretch that he's out there.
Sometimes, yeah,
and sometimes it goes the other way. You're right.
Yeah, it's so hard to assess right now.
He's 20.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, this is getting annoying.
Do you think we're just too obsessed? Do you think other franchises are this obsessed with figuring out who the guy is at age 20?
No, I think a lot of teams and fan bases do that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is they have him for a 4-year deal with Frank?
Yeah, I mean the Mavericks apparently are a lot of their fan base is done with Dennis Smith Jr. already.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I guess if you're really into it, you get down on guys, especially the guys. It's one thing if guys a second round pick and rides the pine for 2 years. You're not gonna get down on them. You might think, oh, okay, maybe this guy will get playing time and be good. But when the guy's this hype coming in, you get down on the guy really fast when he doesn't perform.
Yeah.
Lead writes, which Knicks current under contract, not named KP, are likely to begin their next contract as a Knick? I think we've done this before, but let's just go quickly. See where you're at with this.
Mhm.
Vonleh, next contract, he's on the Knicks? This will be
Yes.
next season?
Yeah.
Yes. Herzonia, next contract?
No.
No. Cantor, next contract?
Yes.
Wow, I hate you. You know that they can't that'll be their big signing.
I'm just saying this is what I think the Knicks are going to do.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's all I'm asking. What you think? Versus what you want.
Right.
Moutier.
Starting to think yes now.
Yeah. Hardaway.
Mm,
Next contract.
Yeah, I know. It's 4 years away.
2 years from now.
2 years. Yeah.
Okay. Knox. Are you pausing? Really? You're not sure about Knox?
The Knicks have not signed a rookie past their rookie contract since Charlie Ward. So, yeah, I'm pausing.
He's off the Milwaukee game. We were putting him in the Hall of Fame. We're gonna not re-sign him.
It's going by 30 years of Knicks history right now. Sure, yes. Let's just say yes.
Okay. Robinson.
Yes.
Ntilikina.
No.
Okay. I may disagree with you, but Burke.
Yes.
I feel like he's not back, but okay. Trier.
Yes.
Baker.
No.
Cornette.
No.
Dodson.
No.
No. He's looked this good, and you're saying no?
Yep. I think they're going to throw him into a trade package, and it's going to piss us off.
Fair point. Anyway, I think my experiment there was you think 8 guys in the current roster will be back in a contract, which is pretty good for continuity, like building a team going forward.
Yeah. Although,
in
reality, it'll probably be 3.
Yeah, and we're assuming KP also will be re-signed, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people have been talking about throwing Dotson into a trade to get rid of Courtney Lee's contract, which drives me freaking insane.
Yeah, is Courtney Lee's contract that crippling, really?
Yeah, we also don't even know how the money's going to be spent because we don't know if any of these guys will really sign here. And if you're not going to get a Durant or Kemba or Kyrie or Kawhi Leonard, if you're not getting into those guys, any of the big names, you're going to look really stupid for giving up an asset to get rid of Courtney Lee's contract.
Yeah, next year the contract's going to be expiring.
Yeah, last question. Jermaine writes, why are Knicks fans so quickly to give up on young drafted prospects for old has-beens, i.e. Trevor Ariza and every young Knick involved in the Melo trade, all of who are still playing while Melo is done? Ariza playing, Steve Francis is done. When does it stop?
Channing Frye.
Yeah. How many guys in the Melo... Melo's now out of the league. In that trade, Felton, still in the league. Gallinari, still in the league. Wilson Chandler, still in the league. Mozgov, still in the league? Or not really? He's not in the league anymore, right?
Yeah, he's... no. No, he was in the league until last season. So he made it 10 games less than... Oh, no, he's in the league.
He's on the Nets right now, right?
Yeah, he hasn't played this season yet because he's injured.
Oh, okay.
So technically, he's still in the league.
Technically, he's more employed in the NBA than Carmelo Anthony is.
Well, so I guess not technically, literally.
So literally, every guy that was traded for Melo has outlasted Melo's career.
Yeah. So I think we could finally say
we end the show right now. that realization is horrible.
Thank you and good night.
You could have played the goodbye music. I guess you're not going to, but yeah, let's stop giving up on the young guys. I think the Knicks should just make it a rule now. The way you have a rule everyone has to pass the ball once before we shoot. Every young player, every guy drafted by the Knicks should get one extension.
Yep. All right. 3 homes and away before next episode. Predictions. Home against Washington.
Win, because we lost them last time, so win.
Oh, agree. Away against Boston.
We're going to lose that one.
Yep. Home against Brooklyn.
we are going to win that one.
Yes. And home versus the Hornets.
The Hernan Gomez revenge game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to lose that one.
Okay, so we're in agreement for the next 4.
Yeah. But if they win any of those games, I'm going to just concentrate on that one win, forget the other games existed, and just that will be that's where my hope will still be there.
All right. So, anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I could talk for another hour. You want to keep going?
No, I don't.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next Sunday.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.